crazy because just odds wise with this like young generation right now, statistically,
right,
the majority of them are queer in some way. And their parents, especially with how divided our country is right now, if these kids end up with parents that are super conservative like that parent, that's going to do such a disservice, and it could potentially be very dangerous for the kids because just
so
odds wise,
dangerous.
they're going to end up with kids that will identify with the pride flag in one way or another.
Well, in the queerness, I mean, the more narrow you make the status quo, the less people are going to fit into that period, you know. And I think younger people, and in general, I think people are starting to really value being authentic. And they're like, I don't fight like, I might even see myself still as a man or a woman, but I'm not that kind of man or woman, or that's not how I feel like I have to express myself in order to be a man or a woman, which automatically then kind of places you in this queer space. I think kind of like what we were talking about in the beginning, how people assume that maybe you had he, him pronouns, or maybe man, or they didn't know, right? And so I think that's one thing that's happening now is like, you know, if you're outside of that very narrow status quo, then you're automatically queer whether you are or not. And in some ways, I think that's a really great thing. And I think it does then lead I think it's just causing a lot of people to really be confronted with what it means to be perceived as like a queer person or somebody who's outside of the status quo.
Yeah,
definitely. One thing I want to touch on is the 270. Is that all right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, that's thanks to Canyon County Pride.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So we've talked about on the podcast several times, HB 270. It's the indecent exposure bill that is already in effect. And the incident that kind of sparked all of this happened at last year's Canyon County Pride.
Alleged. Because
it was total bullshit.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
so I do want to say that.
That's
like,
fair.
Exactly.
That's
the alleged. Because we both know the gal, and I was in the hearings, like it was, these people were lying about what they saw. And I know that they went to the event last year in bad faith, searching for something to make an issue. And they found this perfect opportunity and they capitalized on it. And now we have HB 270. So what are your plans? Like, how are you going to address that for this year's, just to kind of make sure that something like that doesn't happen again?
Yeah, it's a really frustrating and maybe volatile situation because we saw, I don't know her name, enter.
And we don't need to say it.
Yeah. But she pronouns, I think, is what I'm hinting at. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. She came in. She looked gorgeous.
Yeah.
Let's definitely get that on the record. That's not alleged. She always,
and great style, always. Yeah.
Head to toe. So she entered. We saw. She was probably one of the first 20 people in. We saw the nipple pasties. Is that what they're even called?
Pasties.
Just pasties. Yeah.
Okay. Saw the pasties, and we were like, this is going to be a situation. Not for anyone coming in good faith. I mean, even for children, like I've taken my children to Boise Pride many times. I've taken my kids to multiple prides, multiple events where that's normal. It's decent.
Or even
legal.
Like the electrician's tape I've seen with
with the X.
cis women doing that I've seen that, and that was never an issue ever. And that was like
never an issue with many cis women for sure. And that's a really good point to make. And we kind of just had our heart sink a little bit, and like, this is going to be a used against us type feeling. And there was thoughts about like, okay, let's give her a free Pride t-shirt. And I was like, I do not feel comfortable with that. Like, this is what we are here for. Back to the authenticity thing. Like, you show up as you are. You show up as you want to present yourself. And there probably aren't.
And if they can't do it there, where can they?
Exactly. And I really fought for doing nothing. And I think, obviously looking back, it maybe wasn't the best decision, because in not doing harm, I feel like it would have been harmful to one trans person.
Totally.
We are opening the gate wide open for more trans violence. This is only about trans people.
Right.
This is not going to happen to a cis person.
But this would have happened regardless of
Yeah,
this
because
instance.
she didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And
She
you
didn't.
all didn't do. And
Yeah.
you all did. I want to say, like,
Yeah.
in my opinion, I don't think you did anything wrong. I think I would have been more upset if you would have, like, I don't know, policed it, but you, like, forced her to cover up or made some sort of thing about it.
And I guess that's something to point out is, like, we don't want to upset our community. We definitely upset the other
and they were going to be upset no matter what.
You're right.
And, like, it wasn't the issue. So you did nothing wrong, and this is how you know. They had to lie.
Sure.
Yep.
Because if they didn't have to lie about what happened, that would be something else entirely. But they had to lie that she was completely topless without pasties on.
Which was not true.
Which was not true.
Not true.
Well, like, if she would have been wearing pasties and they would have said that in the hearing, they would have been like, well, what's the issue here?
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Well, and they say she, I mean, they even, like, refer to her as kind of like a she in that incident, but then they want to say that people like that are men.
And that was brought
People
up in
like
the
me are
hearing
men.
too.
You know what I mean? It's
What
like,
did they say about
so what
that?
am I?
Well, they said what happened. This is what they said happened in the hearing, which is, and this is a lot. They said that this woman was topless, and the guy who was so offended by it was talking to the cops and was like, why are you allowing this to happen? Like, why are you allowing this woman to walk around topless? And the cops said, oh, well, she said that he's a man and that he can do that because he's a man. And so there's nothing.
The cop said that?
Yeah. And he's like, so there's nothing I can do about it. How much of this is actually
That's what
true?
he said
Yeah.
that the cop said. Gotcha.
So there's nothing we can do about it. So that's why he was like, well, we need to update the indecent exposure law to cover trans women, basically.
I see.
But that didn't actually. So that's how they had to connect it to trans women.
But it's even more than, like, including trans women in that law. It's actually, like, creating a law specifically for trans women, because cisgender women can still walk around with pasties. It's just the trans folks. So I don't
know if that's true. I thought it was more like they worded it like any sort of breast mass.
No, but it was like hormonally, like, as far as, like, the law goes, it actually has to be, like,
hormonally
it is a trans
altered.
It's a trans body, whether it's a trans female or a trans man. They've specifically targeted.
Yeah, the breasts have to be hormonally altered.
And potentially drag.
Yeah, because prosthetics are also mentioned in the bill.
Fake genitalia or...
Yeah, and it was so much to the point where one of the representatives, a Democrat, was saying, so basically, if this bill passes, someone could go to Adam and Eve and see the prosthetics there and call the police. And the people that were supporting the bill were kind of fumbling, like, well, why would someone do that? And it's like,
exactly.
They could, though. They could.
Right.
And, like, but then the burden falls on the police to determine what is appropriate and what isn't. So in this instance, I feel like a Canyon County police officer would most likely agree that trans in general is offensive and would warrant a charge.
I, having met with the Canyon County Police multiple times, it pains me to say this. Like, it pains me to defend the police, because I think the only argument Tom and I got in last year was over police presence. And I was like, absolutely not. We are not having police at Pride. No. And was, like, fighting tooth and nail. Like, you are a cis white dude.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you should, like, have a say in this. Like, we have, like, the majority of people in Canyon County, especially now with the administration and ICE going into effect, like, they're scared.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what it's like being a rich white cis dude. So, really pushed back. And it ended up being, like, after so many threats that it was like, okay,
you have to.
This is, like, we might lose people attending, but we don't want people attending if we can't keep them safe. So it was like a compromise of we hired private security for interior within the walls, and said the police could be outside.
Right.
So if anything major did happen, they would be able to enter.
Get there quickly.
And there's really only so much of that you can control as an organizer, as far as, like, police presence or that sort of thing. So it's like the best you can, the way, if you can work with them and kind of figure things out, that's better than just being like
totally.
Yeah.
And it still pains me.
It's
so I will
shitty.
say that.
It's
But
shitty.
as I say that, it pains me. The last meeting we were in, I want to say the last meeting, maybe 2 meetings ago with the police, we were chatting. I won't say the specific police person, but a higher up police at Canyon County. And he's the one that brought up a couple of these, like HB 270, a few different laws that had recently come into effect that are unenforceable, basically bullshit laws. Brought that up, and we started chatting, and he was like, these laws are making my job a nightmare. Like, this is not enforceable. This is not a well-written law. Like, it's hateful.
And they're very broad.
Really, yeah. It brought that up, and they were really like, and we asked him point blank, like, so will you be even looking for indecency at Pride? And he was like, no. So that's information. Do I think you should be like, oh, yay, let's go party with the police? Absolutely not. But that's information that I have from a perspective of meeting with the police multiple times. And the police have been amazing to work with.
That's great.
And they've listened to our concerns.
That is so surprising. And
it's
such
so
a
surprising.
Pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that being said, like, we brought up, we met with Mayor of Nampa, police chief, and a few other like higher up people in Nampa, I don't know, a month or 2 ago. And we brought up like, hey, a majority of our population is Latinx. Like, a lot of them are concerned, like, coming out of their house, they could get arrested. Like, they're just concerned for their overall safety. And then you add being queer on top of that. That's like a double whammy, right? So, like, can you help us understand how to navigate this difficult, like, situation? And they were like, oh, they don't need to even worry. Like, they don't even need to worry about that. They'll be totally safe. And we were like, okay, that doesn't feel good. Like, sitting in a room of white people and, you know, like.
Well, given their history, because it's still the same mayor as last year, right?
Yeah.
And I bet she's just delightful to work with.
No comment. But anyway, there's that information about the police.
Okay.
So
take it with what you will.
Yeah. Has the law or anything changed how you're going to approach things this year? Is there any information that people need to know that might be coming out?
Yeah. We are going to enforce the t-shirt policy. Mostly, you know, not because we want to monitor what people are wearing by any means. Obviously, like, you don't have to have a full-on t-shirt. People that want to wear a tank top or spaghetti strap or tube top or whatever, that's fine. But it's mostly to avoid those situations that are completely taken out of context, out of proportion, which, you know, we believe will ultimately protect trans and non-binary people because of the culmination of what happened last year. So yeah, wear a shirt. It sucks. We obviously would love it if we didn't have to have security, didn't have to have the police, and didn't have to have dress code. But here we are. And it's difficult to say, and if that, you know, makes people uncomfortable to not come because they can't be themselves, we get it. And I think that's something to know too, is that, like, it's been a difficult decision process.
Of course.
And we not only have to think of, you know, the 4,000 to 5,000 people that will be in attendance, but the law that is going to affect the entire population of Idaho. So,
and not only that, there are going to be people there that are there for the exact same reason as last year. They're going to be trying to find something that they can use as an attack on the community at large. And like something that they could introduce into legislation next year. Because I really believe, and I know I'm not alone in this, that the bills that are introduced next session are going to be even more aggressive. So I think any opportunity that they can send people in and try and instigate issues is just going to be the evidence that they use for their aggressive bills next session. So any way to kind of like prevent that or protect people, because no one wants to be like the picture that they're using for their bullshit fucking laws, right? So I think it's difficult because, like, you don't want to police people's bodies. You don't want to tell them what to do, but you also want to protect them.
Totally.
Yeah.
So it's like,
because the alternative is to not do anything or whatever. And I think the thing that we wanted most importantly, like to have this conversation, was to kind of set people up who are planning on going to really know what to expect. The police will be on the outside. We're really not sure about ICE.
Well, we do have more information on that.
Cool. Updated.
Like, I wasn't just like, oh yeah, I'll just tell them that they're safe. Thank you so much, white people, for telling me to tell our Latinx community that it's fine. Like, I will totally do that. No, we don't. Like, no. We talked with the ACLU. We've had multiple meetings. We're going to have Know Your Rights people there. We're going to have, various
legal witnesses.
Legal aid. We are going to have multiple legal witnesses, not just for, the Latinx community, Black and brown people, when it comes to police presence. But we had a fairly large lawsuit come out of last year with one of the protesters and anti-protesters. So just having legal observers there will protect
everyone.
I assume, I hope. Again, hopefully none of this comes to fruition, but with the environment that we're in, with these laws, like, we're just doing our best and our due diligence to make sure that we can protect people as much as we can. So
it's gonna be really fun. What day is it?
June 8th.
It's a Sunday.
It is a Sunday. It's going to be from 10 to 6, and maybe I'll share this now. Bonnie Violet, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
We are going to open Canyon County Pride with a church service, which seems kind of, I don't know, off-brand for queer people and church. But there's still a lot of queer people that value connection with God or Christianity or fill in the blank with
interfaith.
And we have the Satanists. We have what would you call the, like,
I'm trying to remember,
energy type work person.
We
they were amazing. I can't remember like their actual title though.
What, like spiritual, like a spiritual person?
But more having to do with like
elements and all that sort of stuff. So we're definitely doing what we can to have like a diverse representation of like spiritual experience, to kind of like merge this kind of like service to happen in the morning. And so for folks who want to come out to that sort of thing, which I think is also a great response to, because there wasn't like a city council meeting or something where a lot of the religious folks actually spoke very against it. And so it's kind of nice to have folks who are in support of it be a part of it as well.
Totally. Yeah, we have multiple faith leaders from 2C participating. And my hope is that, yes, there will be a space for everyone to come together and connect and have a spiritual type experience. But my hope is also that people will come and maybe be healed from some of the religious trauma. I have backpacks full of religious trauma that I carry around. And last year, a lot of my religious trauma was healed because Pastor Rob canceled his church, brought his congregation to walk people to and from the parking lot, so that they could like put umbrellas up and protect them from hecklers and protesters and bigots. And
that's the
his
thing.
Congregation showed up.
A lot of communities of faith are the ones doing a lot of the work. Last year when I did the Drag Is Not a Crime fashion show, it was completely funded by different, like mostly, it was almost predominantly all like religious groups and institutions that funded a Drag Is Not a Crime all ages fashion show.
Amazing.
Do you know what I mean? And so I know also the religious community really responded to Canyon County Pride as well too.
Yeah, and it definitely surprised me. I think because in my mind, and in my body, I still carry so much religious trauma that it was almost like, I don't know if I should even trust you. Like this is like confusing for me.
I'm still there.
And I think that's okay. Like please don't come to the church like the, what are we calling interfaith church service.
I don't even think
if you're not even comfortable like with any of that.
Well,
totally do
church
not
is a trigger too. So what do we call church?
No, it's not. I'm not
fair.
at that level.
That's fair.
One thing that I I think is going to be interesting, because before I resigned because of like the transphobia, I was a minister in the Satanic Temple because I was involved in their sober faction. Like I did a weekly meeting for grief in recovery, and you're taught, or back then you were, that if you're in TST or you're a Satanist, is to not advertise it when you're at events or protests, because it will take the attention off of the focus, and people will be like, oh, like for BLM, they were discouraging people from going to the BLM, not from going to the protest, but from wearing like a Satanist stuff. Right. So because that way the opposition will be like, look, fucking Satanists are supporting BLM. That tells you everything you need to know about the Black Lives Matter movement. Fucking Satanists. So in this instance, it's going to be a fucking heyday, but it's so important to represent all of the different facets of religion. So I think it's super cool that you're doing that. That's just, I think it's going to be powerful as shit.
I do too. And I was really impressed with the conversations that we've had so far. Like some things were brought up, like, oh, let's focus on, instead of, like, let's focus on God loves everyone. We were all created in God's image. And someone from the Satanists was like, hey, I don't believe in God. And not everyone at Pride is going to. I would encourage us to find things that all of us believe, like compassion and love. Yeah. And the pastor that like brought that up was like, wow, thank you so much for saying that. And really took it in, changed his whole direction. And it was such a cool experience to see people from vastly different systems of belief come together and actually like talk and work through things, because I think today in this divisive, like whether it's religion or politics, which I think are basically the same thing, everything's just very divisive. And it was cool. I mean, it was only 10 people, but still it felt so good to be in like a collaborative environment where people genuinely respected what you had to say, genuinely respected what they had to say, and worked together to make something that could kind of fit with everyone. So if the fruits are a result of that, then it's going to be amazing. And I'm really excited.
It's like with Satanism, because at first I've got like really bad OCD, and a lot of my obsessions are like with religion. It's this whole thing. I'll tell you about it later.
Yeah, I'd love to know.
It used to so it used to make me really nervous and like make me kind of spin out just on the idea of it. So I avoided Satanism for a long time. But when I finally read the tenets and I learned more about it, it's more like the religion that I would associate it with the most is Buddhism. And people, if you tell someone that and they have no idea about Satanism, they're like, you're fucking shitting me. It's like, no, like it's, the tenets are basically just like, be a good person, trust in science, bodily autonomy. And that's fucking it. Like, do no harm, take no shit.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Yeah.
And my experience with this satanic folks has all been good. And there's been plenty of times where they like, we'll step back, like we'll do the work, we'll show up, we'll even lead some stuff, but we'll step back, like when it comes to media or this, that, or the other, in order to really kind of ensure that it doesn't take away the water a little bit, or take away the focus, which I was really impressed with, because initially I did have some concerns, but I've had nothing but great experiences.
Well, it sounds like this Pride is going to be really different.
Yeah, it is. And I think this year we also have a longer program that will allow people to come and go. So if you don't want to attend the interfaith experience in the morning, come at noon. Or
most people probably won't be up yet anyway.
It's Sunday.
It's Sunday morning. They're like,
and I will bring a lot of water because I am the person that blacks out.
Yes. Yeah. And of course, Erin is taking care of our water again too, which is
thank you, Erin.
Amazing.
So there's water, sunscreen.
Yeah, we have sunscreen too from donors. We have, but I would still bring your own water, your own sunscreen. Some awesome things that are going to be happening to kind of shift the focus a little bit. We are really focusing on. Last year we were just needing performers quick because we had 3 weeks to plan it. This year we have more of a centered focus on performers. Of most of the performers being queer.
Mhm.
Most of the performers being trans or non-binary. We do have another drag show, again, family friendly. I probably don't have to tell your audience this, but
Right.
for some reason I have to like keep
You're so
bringing up
used to
that this
saying
is
that.
a family friendly
Yeah.
festival.
Yeah.
But really no one thinks that except for, you know.
People who don't know don't know us.
So that's going to be really fun. We are going to have a dance party afterward that I think is going to be a really great experience. And can I talk about my art project that I'm
Of
doing?
course.
Absolutely.
Yay. Okay. This is really exciting for me. Again, last year I wanted to do like a collaborative art community installation, but you know, that's like bottom of the list and it just didn't happen, and that's okay. But this year we are going to have basically 8x8 squares that people can write their story on, they can draw on, they can use stamps. Like we have a couple local artists, they're making stamps,
Oh, cool.
you know, just like a little rainbow or a trans, you know, whatever. I don't actually know what they're looking like yet, but I'll check in.
They're going to be
Note
amazing.
to self check in. They're going to be amazing. And so you can stamp, paint, write, color, whatever, make a 8x8 square, and then it'll be hung up like a little prayer flag around and displayed that way. But then they'll all get sewn into a quilt after.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love
and
that.
we'll have 2 quilts on display, one in the trans colors that only trans and non-binary people can write their story or decorate on. It's going to be basically blank, and then a different rainbow one for whomever, if they're an ally or just any part of the queer community, they can write, decorate on that quilt or on the little square. And so
awesome.
I love that.
then you can kind of get the idea of what they look like
and just be a part of it.
And I think it'll be a really cool, I don't know if either of y'all have gotten into like textile arts and fiber arts before. But I am slightly obsessed with fiber arts lately because I was always like never wanting anything to do with it because it was too feminine. But now that I'm like living in my authenticity, I'm embracing a lot of femininity all of a sudden. And like me and my partner have been doing felting and weaving and all sorts of things that were like always girly. Like too girly. And I'm like throwing in lace and throwing in pearls and like all of these like hyper femme things and creating art and like processing a lot of my feminine side, which has been really, really fabulous. So I hope that can kind of reflect too that like fiber arts is not a gendered
it's just art
situation. It's just art.
I think so too.
So that's the goal too.
That's really cool.
That
sounds really
sick.
Awesome. For sure.
So think about what you're gonna write on your squares.
I will.
I
I'm
know.
start thinking about it now.
Right?
It needs to be good.
I've been thinking about mine for a while and I still don't know.
It's like
I always have a hard time with those things in the moment.
Maybe you could help me brainstorm, because I think that's a really common of like, well, I don't know how to write my whole story in 1 minute on an 8x8 square. So maybe one of the artists actually was like, this is common for community art projects for people to just be like confused, not know what to do. So there is going to be an option to bring one. So like you can just cut it out of fabric yourself. This will be posted later. And then think about it and bring it. But we also want prompts for the people that are there doing it, interacting day of.
And maybe some examples of like ways that people do it or something.
Totally. That's a really good idea.
Examples would be good.
What prompt would you give to Bonnie Violet if sitting there getting ready to write, and then Bonnie Violet is like, I don't even know what to write. What would a prompt be?
Well, I know you, so I would want to know, like, how did drag influence your trans experience?
That would be really
because
maybe,
I know it was so important for you.
Maybe what one thing influenced your queer experience, your transition, your trans experience, fill in the blank. That's a really good idea. Thank you. I'm adding that to the
You'll have to
list.
wait to read it.
Absolutely.
You have to wait to read it. I'm not saying it here. I'm not saying it now.
What a teaser.
Oh, right.
You've said it in
I have said it
past episodes.
I have.
And I
more than one way.
I got it as we were making coffee.
A little bit of my drag story.
Yeah.
Well, was there anything else that you wanted to kind of bring home or reiterate either about Canyon County Pride or?
Sure. We just installed a billboard yesterday, and I imagine, just because I've got a few texts, that it's going to be divisive. I don't know if it's going to be defaced. Right. The police, that's another thing. Weeks ago in the meeting, we're like, we're probably going to put up a billboard. Like, is this going to be awful? Like, what are your thoughts? And they were like, oh, send us the address and we will have a police drive by every so often.
Oh, wow.
To hopefully protect that for you. And we were like,
because it's the progress flag with the Canyon County logo on it, right?
Yeah, and Juneteenth. Logo. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's all it is. So it's just a big flag. I think it's like a shout out to Mayor McLean too for like.
Oh yeah, for the flag thing.
Yeah, flag thing. But it's been really, really cool to hear people, especially from Nampa, be like, oh, "There's a giant progress flag in Nampa. This is wild." And it's like right before you go into town, where the library, the mayor's office, the post office, like where all of that is.
Perfect location.
You got to get a shot of like the mayor coming out or something.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Flag behind.
That's a really good idea.
That's probably a little antagonistic.
Maybe a little petty.
Yeah, sorry.
Anyway, so we're going to be probably launching some sort of contest to take pictures in front of that.
I love that.
I'm going to have my partner come and we'll like be celebrating.
I know. Can we take one from here?
From here?
Yeah. We're not that close.
It's not that big. And maybe next year we'll get
we can edit it in. We'll just edit it in.
Totally. Or, God forbid you could drive the 25
We could.
minutes
Yeah,
to Nampa.
we could.
Yeah.
You could also put like the pictures of everyone standing in front of it. You could probably put that into like a mini little art thing too.
That would
just
be
like
really
a collage
cool.
of all the people standing in front of the sign.
Yeah, that's
and
such a good idea.
Carousels on Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh,
just all the people.
That would be cute.
Very, like, impressive.
You guys are
with
doing
your
great with
technology.
your social media. It's looking good.
I think we're definitely, it just feels like this is our first year because last year was so disheveled and like so fast
That's how it feels for us too.
it really feels like this is our first year because now we have a board, we have multiple people with various roles and it's not me and Tom like running around like crazy people. Yeah. So it's been a definitely like different experience. It's been improved and like we're still working out a lot of kinks because we didn't.
Well, it's the second year
we
in.
were doing last year for sure.
And then there's been some changes.
Right.
So it's like you're constantly having to change and adjust. So, yeah. I just want to say I'm really excited about the work that you've been doing with Canyon County Pride.
Yeah,
excited to go again this year. Last year too, I think there were a lot of folks in Boise who was like, yeah, I'm fucking going. And I don't leave Boise. I don't go that way for nothing. And most people who live in Boise do that. They're like, I'm not going out there unless I have to.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, yeah, we're going,
awesome.
and everybody wins. Yeah. So I'm sure it's going to be that way again this year too.
Yeah, I hope so. And, everyone's invited. I think it's again, like the church person that's still within me. Like if you don't agree with us, come and check it out.
Yeah.
Preferably not to take pictures,
with
ill intent.
Yeah, don't be a creep.
Don't be a creep, but please come. I am, providing water and a shade tent for the protesters because that's bound to happen.
Yeah.
And just come, have fun. It's going to be a amazing party.
Yeah.
I always joke that I just love planning parties and wanted to plan a party for myself. So
go.
I did this. But really,
party.
really kind of why I brought up the billboard is it's a celebration for the authenticity that we talked about, but mostly for our youth that, some of them don't know a trans person that isn't, 16 like they are. A lot of them don't know a lesbian couple, like it's just so different in Canyon County that like I walk places and I am the only out gay person and it's just a whole different vibe. It's mostly for those kids that, knock on my door saying, thank you for having a pride flag. My parents don't know I'm trans, but I'm trans and I would get kicked out of my house if they knew. So I have to stay in the closet. but thank you for having this flag because I walk by your house anytime that I'm having a bad day and it cheers me up, So that's why we put the billboard up. That's why we're doing this whole thing, is to let queer kids know that there's a future and that it's amazing. Yeah.
That's so
awesome.
Cool. I can't wait.
Awesome. Great. Well, should we say goodbye?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for being here.
We'll have you on again.
Yes, and we'll see you all at Canyon County Pride.
Yeah.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.